Hey guys, how's it going? Jay Sensational here, and welcome back to the channel where today we're going to go over another sort of lineup for seasonal prep, tournament prep, whatever you want to call it. This time around, we are going to feature mid-range lineups, and this one is going to be on Lurk, Shyvana Pantheon, and Sivir Demacia. So let's quickly go over the deck list, and then we'll talk a little bit about their matchup tables, what exactly you're aiming to do with them, and why I think this sort of lineup is actually really good right now. So starting with the Lurk deck, I think Lurk itself overall is, pretty consistent in how it's being built. I'm still trying out some like one-of cards like Ruthless Predator over this Treasure Seeker, but overall this deck list has remained pretty standard overall. At least for me, I've seen other lists run a lot more other non-Lurk cards in like Bone Skewer, more Ruthless Predators, some have like a Rite of Negation, things like that. But the overall purpose of this deck within a mid-range lineup, of course, is it scales really quickly. It has a fighting chance into aggro decks, and it can beat up control decks in the late game. But overall, this deck list is pretty standard. You just mulligan for your early one drops, hit your lurks, smack them down, predict some champions, and things like that. The second deck we have here is Shyvana Pantheon. Now this can be switch swapped for any Pantheon deck realistically, whatever you know best how to play. Pantheon Taric, Mono Pantheon, Pantheon Shyvana, whatever it may be. This is just another very, very solid mid-range deck, probably one of the two strongest mid-range decks right now that I would say, personally speaking. This deck aims to overwhelm your opponents with big dragons. You have cards like Dragon's Clutch to give your dragons overwhelm, and then Rally to end the game with big overwhelm dragons. In addition to why Demacia is so core to all the mid-range strategies right now is because of Golden Aegis. Rallies right now are just so core to what Demacia needs to do and what makes Demacia strong. Being able to have that additional ability to really beat down on the control decks is what really makes some decks like this key. You'll notice that Lurk itself doesn't really have any rally tools, but with the ability to play like Snapshot Storm as a free attack, or just its very, very powerful ability to scale really quickly, a lot of control decks just also can't deal with that either. And of course, what also gives Demacia some really good flexibility is cards like Single Combat and Concerted Strike, as well as Strafing Strike. It has a lot of very efficient strike spells, allowing you to control the board, scale efficiently, and have very annoying ways to stop development with cards like Bright Seal Protector and Chain Vest, Guiding Touch, Pale, Sharp Sight, whatever it may be. And then the final deck wrapping up here, we have Auction Sivir Demacia. Again, for the very same reasons why Pantheon is so strong, Sivir Auction is very good at doing very similar things. It has the rallies, it has the single combats, it has all the buff cards, it has some really solidly setted cards like Radiant Guardian and Vatican Bruiser. Your champions have quick attack, you can pair with Merciless Hunter, and you can effectively trade down the board really well for a mid-range deck. This has always been a deck that's been around for quite a long while. It's always been doing well in tournaments. But there's a reason why some of these decks aren't high performers in ladder, and that's where the matchup table really comes in. So let's talk about matchup tables and why I think these sort of mid-range lineups can be very, very powerful. We'll go over some of their good matchups, their bad matchups, what I think this lineup aims to ban, and what it aims to beat. So the first things first is this deck is very good into some of the controller decks, and scouts. And then of course, I think if you are playing this lineup, you have a very easy decision on what you want to ban, and that is simply Ken Ari. I think the first thing that stand out is you notice Ken Ari Shrima 32%, 33%, 31%, Ken Ari SI 38%, almost still less than 50%, 32%. Ionia absolutely destroys you. And that's no surprise with decks like Shyvana Pantheon, Sivir Demacia, even like Pike Rek'Sai, very susceptible to stuns, very susceptible to recalls, a lot of very cheap removal or cheap interaction from the Ionia side that a card like Single Combat Concerted Strike does not answer really efficiently. So when you play a mid-range lineup like this, your decision is very simple. You ban Ken Ari, which is already something that a lot of people want to be doing. Ken Ari is one of the strongest decks in the game, especially piloted at the highest level. Ken Ari is probably the strongest deck right now. And so having a very easy decision of banning Ken Ari right off the bat is what makes this lineup really, really core. But what also makes this lineup extremely good right now, and is probably one of the lineups that I'm more closer to considering for a seasonal tournament, is the fact that it also does really well into scouts. This stat I thought would be higher, or maybe it was higher, but it went down a bit. Either way, Sivir Pantheon 66%, Sivir Demacia 60%. This sort of lineup really crushes scouts, because what scouts is there a small Demacia deck, but our Demacia decks go a little bit bigger than them. We have higher statted units, we have more combat tricks, and we have better interaction in order to deal with a lot of the core threats of scouts. And because you're already banning Ken and Ari, which is the #1 best deck, and you beat Misfortune Quinn, which is the #1 most played deck, you already have a very good spread going into the tournament. So I think that like these mid-range lineups are doing very well and are positioned quite well, so long as the meta doesn't really change over the next 2 weeks. Now let's also talk a little bit more about some of their better matchups as well. You'll notice some very good matchup tables into some of the control decks. So here we have Darkness, 56, 60, 60 across the board. Very favored. Moving forward, we have Kindred Sentinels, 55, 65, 62. Very favored across the board as well. Xerath Zillion is pretty good for the Demacia deck. Struggles a little bit more with the Pike Rek'Sai deck, but still at least an even matchup. SI, at least even, slightly unfavored across the board. Depending on how they tech, if they're more teched against decks like Ken and Ari, they have more Withering Wails, they have less single target removal, we can sneak through. But if they're having on triple Vengeance, double Ruination, things like that, that's when you'll struggle, and this one's definitely a little bit more variable in how flexible they can be at targeting certain mid-range lineups, but definitely still a winnable matchup. As we keep moving forward, Kindred Viego, even slightly favored. In the, Shyvana Pantheon, in the Demacia mirrors, we are coming out slightly ahead as well. Where this lineup struggles a little bit more into, as along with some of the Ken and Ari lineups, is definitely the more swarmy deck. So you'll see here that Fizz, Lulu, PNZ, so this is the Yordan Arms deck. Pretty unfavored across the board just because of how wide and how fast they can go. I believe there was one earlier. Draven Rumble, for the same reason. We don't really have heal cards. A lot of burn decks might be able to go wide really quickly. Cards like Flame Chompers to pull aside our only units to block can just really get in the way. Elise Trundle. This is kind of interesting because these guys aren't really control deck. They're just a go wide swarm Iceborne Legacy deck. And again, for the same reasons, it's very hard to deal with that. But moving forward, Spiders as well, having some quite poor matchup tables across the board. With this sort of lineup, you're definitely very scared of a triple aggro lineup. That's not to say that you don't have a chance against them, because you'll see like Lurk into Spiders, Sivir Demacia into Spiders is still pretty much a 50-50 matchup. It's really Pantheon decks that just struggle against some of these go wide swarm decks. You'll notice that Shyvana Pantheon into Spiders is dropping a 24% matchup, which is even worse than into Ken and Ari, which I find quite humorous. But overall, this is what the lineup aims to be doing. It wants to be, it is afraid of triple aggro. It wants to ban Ken and Ari. It beats up on scouts, and it beats up on control. Overall, I think this is a very flexible and quite good lineup going into seasonals, depending on the current meta. Where I think a lot of Ken and Ari and control decks are bullying out a lot of the aggro decks. I think aggro is a lot less popular right now, which benefits some of the more mid-range lineups. And that's not to say that the mid-range lineups can't be aggro either. Given the state of aggro, a lot of these mid-range decks can still cheese aggro on a poor draw. So the overall matchup tables for these decks are relatively good, I think, right now. The last thing I kind of want to talk about before I wrap up is just sort of like similar decks. Maybe you're not comfortable with like Lurk or some of these decks. I will say that I think Demacia, again, is the core of this mid-range lineup. So a deck like Pantheon and Sivir Demacia are pretty core to this lineup. It's kind of hard to get out of those. But, where other decks kind of sort of fit the similar level, I think a deck like Scouts has a very similar matchup table that you can potentially add to your arsenal here. So if you add Scouts here, we will see that, okay, so it does beat up on aggro a little bit better. It has good matchups into the Kindred Viego. into SI Freljord, also good matchups, and it has even better matchups into some of the more aggressive decks. But you'll lose out against the mid-range mirrors. So you'll see SI Tryndamere, very favored. Kennen Ari, it is favored now. You can still ban Kennen Ari just to fit your lineups because we still share very similar spreads. We beat up on Darkness, beat up on Poros, we're fine into the mirror. We lose a little bit more on the control-y side of things with like Kindred Sentinels, but against some of the less damage focused removal decks like Tryndamere Trundle or like the Field Rush, we do gain points out of it. Even-ish to Zerzillion. So again, Scouts shares a very similar matchup table to this. You will gain a few points here and there against aggro. Scouts is better, but against the mid-range decks, Lurk is much better. But these are 4 very similar decks that I think if you play any 3 of these within a lineup, I think it is a pretty solid core for a mid-range deck. But I think if you do want to focus on a lineup like this, you definitely need to get comfortable with a Pantheon deck, some Rally deck, or even both, and have a very similar matchup table to beating Control and wanting to ban Kennen Ari. So that's why like Scouts might be not the best choice, because it does have pretty okay matchups into Kennen Ari. But I will say I think Kennen Ari is still favored into these, despite their matchup tables and despite their data, because a good player would probably beat them unless you extremely high roll. But this is the core to a mid-range lineup. That's kind of how I want you guys to be thinking about this lineup if you are thinking about decks. You know, I've only shown you guys 4 decks here. If you guys have something that you're interested in playing, if they share similar matchup tables to beating Control, beating Scouts, and wanting to ban Kennen Ari, I think those are the 3 main aspects that you want in a deck. If you want to pair it with this lineup, I think that's what you're looking for. So there is a little bit of flexibility. I just don't know what those decks are off the top of my head. But if you think that your deck fits in here, these are at least 4 core decks that I think you could play around with. So I'll jump into some scrims. Thank you guys for watching this. I hope this was helpful. Let me know down below if it was, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys. Take care. Alright, so our goal is to aim up on beat on Scouts and ban Kennen Ari. It's already pretty simple just because we have a pretty straightforward plan. We'll ban Kennen Ari, we should be fine into Scouts, and then this is an unknown for me. I have no idea what matchup tables look like for this. I imagine Drizzle's very good at the deck, and so we will try to watch out as best as we can. 6, 2, 3, 3. 2 resolves, 3 sharp sights, 3 rallies, 3 Cythrias. This one's pretty stock. Okay. Pantheon. Okay. What's first? Go with Lurk, why not? Excuse me, by the way, sorry about that. So this matchup's potentially interesting. Once they stick Nami, it's definitely hard to remove. If I can get like a Pike spell to hit Nami, that should be pretty good. Okay. I like Snapdraw Storm 1 too. Their deck doesn't really want to play things on turn 2. This hand looks insane. Turbo Rek'Sai in this matchup is probably really important, because once they play TF, they can no longer deal with Rek'Sai. That'll be really critical to look out for. Ideally, don't miss Lurk here. Cool. A little bit of a dead card, unfortunately. Yep. I'll just call the pack here. Oh my god. What a top deck. What a card, too. We can just play 2 Snaptrail Storms next turn. That's so much damage. Yeah, this is just GG. Like, he's gonna have... Whoa, he doesn't block. That's kind of crazy. He rolled very well this game. Next turn, we just send 2 6/2s at his face, and then we curve into a Cersei the Under Titan. This game is long over. Holy moly. Oh, he has the red card here. That means my Rek'Sai flips next turn. Kind of sick. Unless he blocks with TF here. I wouldn't be too surprised. That red card was pretty good. Alright. So, likely another TF. Or it's more like a warning sign. So, like, trying to bait me to play Rek'Sai. Or to not play Rek'Sai. It could be either. It's tough to say. He'll probably trade here as well. But, like, this game should be over by our turn 7. So, like, if he has TF, he has to play it out here. There's no point, like, playing Rek'Sai. We'll play Rek'Sai on turn 7. Yep.
I'm always up for a round or two.
Missing Lurk here is not particularly that big of a deal. He has to kill me, essentially, this turn. Which is probably not possible. Second option to level TF this turn, which then I have 2 spell shield units. So it's not a TF level, or at least I presume that his ability to level TF here is non-existent. Even if he pick a cards here, he's only going to go up to 8. He'd have to like rummage again, hit stress testing. At this point, we're like pretty free to develop. Okay. Definitely an interesting one. He needs to draw 2 cards next turn, so he needs to have Rummage. Even if he has Rummage, we have 3 overwhelm units presenting lethal. And so his ability to use removal to remove all of them seems rather low. There's no, like, development punish besides him playing Zap. I can get, like, blue carded from him playing a unit, like Burblefish. But I don't think that really detracts what I'm doing this turn. Likely able to level TF here. Interesting choice. Okay. I guess he didn't have the last straw he needed for the TF. Amazing how close that game was. Despite me, like, essentially just crushing him with the high roll. Because I definitely high rolled that game. Oh. Merciless is an interesting one. There's not much we want on a hook early on, except for like a ballistic bot if he decides to play it. Saving it for like TF is pretty alright. Ladder tonight? No, we're just playing some scrims. But Auction on 2, we have everything sort of that we really need. It's looking pretty good hand. Ideally we had like a Shapestone here to prevent a Mystic Shot. But even if he does Mystic Shot here, is relative. It's not really a turn you want to use Mystic Shot on even if he has it. Alright. We can, like, just grant vulnerable to one of these guys. It's, like, not bad. We can play it next turn. Like, him passing here is, like, pretty good for us. That just means we don't play Sivir, but I'm not sure how important playing Sivir right here is, necessarily. Kinda a tough one. I would like to give this vulnerable. If I can save Akshan, or if I can put him in a bad position, I would like to do that. Let's say he plays TF next turn. Is that anything to be scared of? Not really.
Oh sure, take your time. I love to be kept waiting.
I don't want him to like gold card or like red card my spell shield though. This is interesting. I just have no idea what to do here. I don't see that big of a punish by doing this. It's still hard for him to spend his mana. He still has a fleeting card here. Stress testing. This card is saved, so it's like Nami, potentially. Okay. So, the only punishment to developing is a TF. Or like a Mystic Shot or something like that. Actually, that's not a punish. I don't think I want to play Sivir here into a red card, especially without any protection tools. This turn's a little bit awkward. I could like start off with like Bright Steel onto here. Ensure that I protect Akshan and get the strike in. I can then follow up with a Cataclysm if he goes off with TF. Doesn't really solve my problem that, but he can't like TF pick a card this turn, right? Otherwise, you just Cataclysm him. That's cute. I still have an attack here, technically. What's up, Larry T? I didn't. Okay. This outcome is pretty okay. His Poros are alive, though, and that's an issue for sure. Because if he drops Nami next turn and it's... and he has, like, Nami into Flash of Brilliance, that could be really bad. It's kind of an interesting one. Get excited stress testing. No Nami, okay. I still don't really care if TF comes down. Next turn I have 6. If I bank 1, I can play this if I wanted to. I could play this. I should bank 1.
Heroes go hungry.
Friday night chilling could be worse, could be Sunday night. That is big true. Thank God today's not Sunday. I would probably cry. Always nice being a Saturday. His hand seems pretty awkward. I don't believe he has Nami. I don't believe he has Shelly. Last potential options are like TF, Rummage, pick a card, things like that. It seems like he has like a relatively dead hand. He could also have Nami but no Flash of Brilliance and no way to flip Nami, so he doesn't want to play it. Either way, it just means his hand is awkward. It's a lot of damage. I don't have a sharp sight. Oh jeez. Well, that sucks. That does suck, huh?
We love it when they run.
Can we remove enough off this board? Ideally, I want to hold up Cataclysm. I'm not flipping Sivir here. Try to challenge at least one more elusive. Is that Fizz Nami? That's Nami TF. It's the floppy pile.
Deal me
Okay.
in.
Where's the red card? I could save this. I think it's worth just to kill another elusive. His ability to actually deal with this one health is actually quite annoying for him. I also flip the palace. Pretty okay. Kind of surprised he didn't wait for me to play a unit. I guess he was afraid of me like bursting out the Relic of Power? I want a Sandstone Charger? No. I want like a interaction card, single combat. Concerted rally. Sivir spell. Huh. Voice shot Scrim? No. Or I have a concerted. Raleigh seems alright, but I'm sacking my entire board away this turn. Sivir spell though.
This pay by the hour.
Bizarre hand. I'm not sure what I want here. I guess I already have enough interaction. I'll take the rally then.
What's behind this door, you think? Deadly traps,
Okay.
angry guardians, bunch of gold. Watch your head. That's
Question is, do I kill TF? I think the answer is no. There's not leveling, so the order doesn't really matter here.
You're bluffing.
Sacks TF, which is a good sign, usually, I think. Still not out of it. He has a Nami we might lose. Such a weird like turn for him where he just spewed out 3 burble fishes and I had no sharp sight. So at least I do have some board. Next turn might be like some Cataclysm play. Ooh, he does have Nami.
I am the Tide Caller. I will drive back the darkness. My people are counting on me.
This is really dangerous because of Get Excited. I can flip my Sivir to protect from Get Excited with the Concerted Strike. I probably need to Concerted plus Cataclysm this turn. 7 mana. You could play like... Let's say the average cost of a spell is 2. So you could play 3 spells, buff 6. I don't have a second Sivir though. Their spell would have been devastating? No, it wouldn't have. Because he just buffs his units. And so Sivir spell would have been a complete flop here. I think we have to open with this. Kind of awkward, but we just don't really have a choice. If he has to go for the Get Excited, we have to go for the Concerted.
It's a living.
Okay. Last turn? Did I played it last turn? I didn't have mana, did I? I'm not sure I had mana to play it. I only had 2 mana. Do you think scrimming while asking lines of play is more productive? I'd also like to know why you're using BO3 mode with timers and better have the whole time you need to think plays and scrims.
Never too
For me, scrims are more about, it's more about lineups. Oral cannon, okay. See how wide you can go. We still have concerted strike. I don't know if he can kill me. But then he just has burn. Oh, jeez. Yeah, this is bad. Real bad. No point has concerted striking Nami been more beneficial yet. But
Time is money.
so for me, medicine. 10 is 2 cards. Say they're 2 burn spells.
I carry you.
I died a Mystic Shot. Whoa. That's crazy. Sorry, I'll talk after this game.
Rise with the sun.
Still not dead yet? Okay. If he had Mystic Shot, he would just kill me. If he had Get Excited, he would just kill me. So I'm not dead, which means I need to kill him. Honestly, isn't that easy. I have 2 rallies. Can I get there? I can kill Ballistic Bot. I can force him to block with his Poros. He has any point of burn at any point, I'm just dead. I'm not killing him here. That's really obnoxious. I can do this, single combat,
This pay by
hit
the
overwhelm, and try to win. I'm not rallying this turn then if I can't get through.
Crack skulls, bag loot. Blah, blah. She gets it. System upgrade. This'll look great on my mantle.
business as usual.
I did hit what I wanted to. This is 11-15 over 7. Oh god, oh no, crap. No, frick. Oh, it was so close. Dang, that stinks. Not taking silver last, does that matter? Down. Was I supposed to single the ballistic bot? Damn. Oh, that stinks. Damn. Gonna kill bot over 9 potentially. I wasn't really thinking. But then he could have saved like an elusive, right? If I didn't single combat the Nom, he could have saved an elusive. So relatively speaking, it was the same thing. Unlucky. Damn. It was an interesting line.
My fee just went up.
Because like the Nami also had 1 more health. So if we didn't single combat the Nami, he would have gave... I guess there's outs if we did that. It's like even if you had an elusive Poro. I really hope we would have killed him that turn. But yeah, so like for me, scrimming here is more just about like testing lineups. Like, and also to simulate like what it's like playing in the actual seasonal rounds. Because like when it comes to my plays, they're relatively going to be pretty similar. It's more just about getting familiar with different like matchups and how they feel to me, rather than like it's a little less about how I play the game, but more just about the feel for me. If that makes any sense at all. This is really good if I draw like Bright Steel. It trades with the 1-drop. The issue is when he plays MF, this becomes like an issue. No auction. Probably playing these out anyways. It's definitely very awkward if it's definitely very awkward if he has exactly MF plus Valor. It's like beyond awkward.
I must reach the king.
So I'm actually incentivized to trade here because of that potential. No auction is pretty bad.
I'm one of the good guys, but not.
Here's to no Valor. No Valor indeed. Mwah.
We love it when they run.
That's a good draw.
That's right.
So if we develop, he has a chance to Bright Steel Protector his Misfortune. We beat double Sharp Sight hands. The only unfortunate part is we're not getting any additional value out of it, which is unfortunate.
Taken.
The rest of our turn is just awful.
Pray, no pay.
Or some strong mid-range decks to climb with. Mid-range on ladder is a little bit awkward because of Kenanari, but Pantheon and like Sivir are two very strong mid-range decks, generally speaking. But you just get rolled by Kenanari. There's no really avoiding that, unfortunately. Let's say he plays Quinn, I gem Veteran Bruiser. I'm looking pretty okay, huh?
Every wave is a
This is still a house.
Steal from the rich and give to the us.
Like, how does he...
bless is motion.
So, like, double Sharp Sight potentials? I can only block once, huh?
Your funeral.
I could, like, play the Waking Sands? We can see what we hit off the Lucky Find, too. Alright, I will Sharp Sight back. He has a second Sharp Sight. I'm in trouble. He chose not to Sharp Sight his MF, though, earlier. Wonder if he doesn't have it. Okay. I am looking for, like, plus health here, ideally. Oh, these stink. Oh, God. I can't play this and Concerted Strike. What am I scared of? Say he rallies and then flips MF. I would be very sad.
Knuckle time. What do we got here?
It's a really awkward turn. I can't tap under 5. I might just like be forced to Concerted Strike MF right here. It's not like he can stop it, but unless he like plays exactly Sit 3, I can do something different with my turn. Even then, it's a little bit awkward. Is this Torment? No, this is just a Scrim. Sorry, I'm not reading chat too much right now. I'm trying my best to focus on the game. Oh. Well, that incentivizes him to rally, I guess. Health, please? Health is okay.
What a haul.
Probably just concerted striking MF here. Do I actually? He rallies. This actually just like dumps on his rally though. You can't really rally into like a single combat. I should have played this earlier. I'm kind of committed to this line.
Wonder how much this is worth.
You're in good hands now.
So this makes me rallying next turn pretty good. I'm not sure if there's like particularly many cards I'm afraid of him playing.
Somebody help!
Kind of interesting just like rallying on him if I can.
Almost. Got it.
I suspect like a sit through maybe.
And steal.
Okay. Sure. Once I play that, I can just drop Waking Sands. The issue is these become scouts, which means they have pretty decent attacks. I could just play these though. He gets a challenge here, I guess. This is really annoying. I can pass first. Thank you, rally. It's potentially alright, but if I rally and he plays this, I guess I get to kill this for free. It's interesting. I don't think I need to commit the rally before he plays this though, because like he's not really doing anything unless he plays for Demacia. Because like he doesn't have a sharp side in hand, or at least I am under the perception that he doesn't have sharp side in hand, which means that if he doesn't play for Demacia, he's not really doing anything this turn. But I do agree that playing rally could be like really good here. Because like we don't really care about rallying to end the game. Like rally here is just like a barrier and potentially like a free challenge. Like we're just gonna win on tempo. Okay. I've come to the same conclusion, my friend.
Courage, soldier.
We're not dead because we have 3 on board.
This is our way. Blessed is motion.
Ooh, it's actually kind of close, huh? Did we screw up? Let's see. We take 5, we attack. Oh, we screwed up. Somewhat screwed up.
How you living?
This is less ideal than it should be. Like, I just Absolver here. I need to trade down something here. That's why I rally? Yeah. I see why.
Afraid of my mantle.
But like, I still think we're okay. Unfortunately, we could be doing better for ourselves, but we're not.
Finders keepers.
Actually, I play this first, then, huh? Yeah, this is bad. We're in a much worse spot than we should be. Well, now we don't have to block with the bruiser anymore. Miss your attack? No, we can still attack. We just no longer need to block the bruiser anymore, which makes his attack awkward. Like, this makes his attack real awkward.
Show them our metal.
Yep.
Got a lizard and a shovel.
I still think we could have played this turn a lot better. Like, we didn't need to take 5 damage this turn.
What do we got?
Hey, it's Pantheon. So funny.
Blade, sand, and treasure. Couldn't ask for more.
It should be very hard to like randomly lose from this point.
I've got a price.
Could have killed the 5/5 though. Well, the 5/5's a 2/2 now.
My shield is yours.
Must be nice living off stolen coin.
I've got your back.
Knuckle time. Wonder how much this is worth.
So let's say his hand is Cythria, something, and Tattered Banner. He develops next turn, which he pretty much needs to. He could also have like a Rally, which is pretty dead here.
One of the good guys.
Third MF, okay.
Good.
Right, still such a cut card. It is very, very good at what it does. I don't even need Overwhelm, realistically. So the question is, do I need stats? Say he develops next turn, I just play Brightsteel Protector. I don't really need stats either. So I guess go for Overwhelm.
This pay by the hour.
Brightsteel is such a like a sleeper card. Oh. Well, I guess that's just like protection, I guess. Cythria.
The ocean
No, okay.
whispers her secrets.
It's fine. No rush to do anything here. We'll just completely disincentivize an attack and win on the open. He has no attack here, realistically. This last card is most likely an Aegis. Just like how it works out. Say it's a sharp sight. Well, this does nothing. Are we dead to a sharp sight? Did we screw up? We're actually dead to no, we're not dead to a sharp. No, we are dead to a sharp sight. Huh. Funny. Good thing it's not a sharp sight. That might have gone awkward. Wow. I didn't realize we're dead to a sharp sight there. That's not very good on us. So this last card is definitely a rally. How do we play around a rally? He's already using his scout attack here, so... Is there a difference? I don't need this to kill him. I don't need this to kill him. So I'd rather just save my units.
No!
My shield is yours.
Time is money.
Bruiser carry. Bruiser has done a lot of work this game. He's just dead on the swing. I don't really see an out for him. Well, is he dead? Actually not sure. So this card's the rally, might as well just spend this card to get the proc.
It's a living.
Good rally would have been GG, so no rally. That true? No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't have. Why would that be true? It's for sure rally. So we have 11, we have 11, 17 over, so he's not dying this turn. I will pull MF here, and I will bait him into making a value block here, and then I can drop a Radiant.
Fool, do not doubt. You've made your path. Fool, do not doubt.
Make way!
This'll look great on my mantle.
Wait, was that Blinding Assault? Maybe it wasn't. I'll watch that back, because maybe you're right, maybe I'm wrong.
Justice will be served.
This pay by the hour.
MF? Oh. That's a top deck. That's such a good top deck, holy crap. Watch it be like a Ranger's Resolve.
Line them up.
Oh. Okay. That was pretty alright. Yeah, his MF was one off leveling even if he rallied. Interesting. The matchup should be good for us. We definitely played it probably a little bit optimally at the end. But alright, ban. I mean, who's ahead in cutest pets? I cannot do that, unfortunately. I can DM you if you want. I'd have to actually count though. I don't actually know myself, but I can take a educated guess on who it is. Did we crash again? I think it's just maybe next time. He's like, I don't know, he's like spooking the system. And just doesn't want him. Oh, there you go, there you go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Alright. M4 like skips the mulligan because I'm like 20 seconds behind. Why does he have attack token? That's not fair. Wait, why does he have attack token? These keeps are suspicious. Okay, if he plays Zoe, but Zoe's not even the card I want to target. That's so sad. Ugh. Rek'Sai. Not an Eye of the Dragon? Just don't play Eye?
The spirit gives to those who listen.
Okay, so that's our hammer snout target. All pack. If we had a Rek'Sai, this hand would be like safe because we can call a pack into Snapdraw Swarm this turn.
Is there a message from
I mean that doesn't really matter. If we play this and he pales cry, so we can't do that here. Next one is predict. If he Sonic Waves me, I cried too, huh? Who's gonna play Lee Sin this season? Like, honestly. Who's out there to play Lee Sin? I guess if you want to beat up on, like, the smaller mid-range lineups, you have... If you want to beat up on, like, the smaller mid-range lineups, it's, like, the perfect lineup to do it with. I'm not sure why you do that now, though.
What is gained when we return malevolence?
Because, like, I'm not gonna attack into anything besides your... Ooh, where are my champions? Okay, if I miss Lurk here, how catastrophic is it? Catastrophic? Catastrophic? New word? How catastrophic is it if I miss Lurk? We get our day ruined by Pale. A little bit. Ah! What are the odds? Oh my god. Ugh. You got it, buddy.
Breathe in, breathe out.
Like, I'm not sure why he's playing like this now. Like, he just wants, like, apply pressure to me? Like, he just wants, like, deal chip damage? Like, that's fair and all, but... I guess he can always proc it, unless he, like, plays Lee here. I guess, like, even Lee is just, like, a good enough blocker. It's kind of awkward for us. This Lurk player sucks. I don't think he knows he needs to hit Lurk. This hand was not bad. It definitely sucked, and we didn't have a tag token. But, like, if we hit a Rek'Sai on the first predict, we were in a... Or if we drew into Rek'Sai at any point, we were sort of fine. Like, not really, but, like, at least a lot better. Because we could just, like, continuously, like, bounce it and, like, put it into our deck and stuff. Okay. Yeah, this really sucks. The good thing when he's at full health, so this heal is basically negligible. But it's turn 5 and we've lurked once. Rek'Sai? Where are my champions? Pike, Pike, Pike. Not Pike, Rek'Sai. Not Rek'Sai. No Pale. Okay. Wait, this game is so fricked. Oh, okay. What are we doing here? We need to hit... I need to find a predict. These cards suck. What is wrong with me? No Lee Sin? Alright, if he does have Lee Sin, there's hope. Just no Lee Sin, please. No Lee Sin, preferably no Palm either, or like a Will. You know, you only have 4 copies of those cards. It's not that likely you have them. Zoe's actually dead here. I'm not sure I would have went for that. But like, this is a one of. He has Hush. Hush doesn't work. Zoe is dead here. He didn't have Lee Sin, I have Jawfish. My odds have suddenly increased slightly. My odds just like went up ever so slightly.
So dizzy. Reality is just your mind
Sure.
falling under what it doesn't understand, silly.
As long as he doesn't have Lee Sin, we might actually win. Kinda crazy. Like, if there's no Lee Sin this turn, we might actually win because he, like, lost his Zoe there. It's like, I'm not sure he had a stun there. From my perspective, I was really not attacking because I need to save for Jawfish. So, like, maybe if he knew the matchup slightly better, I wouldn't have gone for that Crescent. That Crescent didn't seem very good at all. There's no Lee Sin. Perfect. Okay, we actually have a chance. Cool.
Paradigm shift time.
Wow, huh. We actually have a chance to win. It's so crazy. What is wrong with me? What is this? 3 lurks on turn 7. I mean, we still can win because these only have 3 health, and like these have more than 3 attack or at least 3 attack. What? Okay. Does have pale? Sure. This is an interesting one. Like, should we attack first and then play this? Because, like, the outcome is basically the same. Alright. We can't be that unlucky, right? It's not like all 6 of these are gonna hit this Dragonling or anything. It's not like that's ever gonna happen. Three of them hit it. Why are there 3 aimed at this one? There's only 2 and 2. 1, 2. This is some bull's crap, man. 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. There's 2 on each Dragonling. What is this? So does he get a pale? Can he save his eyes by paling? Yes. No. I mean, like, getting rid of these is actually probably better, because then he's forced to block with these, I guess. He still doesn't have Lee Sin, or at least, presumably, he doesn't. Yep, there's the pale, Sure. Okay. He loses 3 units. He can concussive palm. And I would probably cry. But at least we have an attack finally. And we can still hit Ike here and go into his deny, I guess. This is a concussive palm. Rek'Sai's not even good here. Just hit like a second Jawfish. That's like the perfect top deck. Just like another Jawfish.
Your attack is obvious.
If I hit one more lurk, he'd have to block with his eye here. It's so freaking sad. If I hit one more lurk, he'd be forced to block with his eye. Or I mean, it would have the eye would have died from the stupid jawfish. My god, this is so pathetic. This is actually so pathetic. Alright, you know what? Top deck jawfish. Top deck jawfish. You know, he had lead set.
I fight with the dragon's fury. Only I can endure the dragon's fury.
You guys.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we're not dead, but our board is gone. And is Zoe's gonna flip? Why doesn't he play this? That's kind of confusing. I don't quite get that one. Can we just like go wider than him? How wide are we? He's 4 wide. I am 5 wide. Well, that's not enough because he goes to 5. So sad. I don't know why he didn't use this to gain 2 extra health. Oh, he was scared of Pike. That makes sense. Imagine thinking I would hit Pike this game. Wouldn't be me. Like, why would you think your opponent ever hit Pike? Like, why would that ever happen?
Almost. Got it.
Is there any card that No. I should do this so if I top deck Jawfish, I get 1 action hits. So, okay. Top deck Jawfish here, you know, might save us. You know? That does not save us. But that allows us to drag the Fierce. So, maybe? I need him to like Concussive Palm first. I'm baiting him to Concussive Palm so I can override. There goes that. So now I just need him to not have a Twin Discipline. Oh, but then he gets a Fearsome blocker. Okay, that's... Oh, wait, no, he's stunned. Oh. Oh. Alright, he doesn't have Zenith Blade. We hit Pike, and he's bluffing Deny. So what matters here? I can't let him give his whole board lifesteal. And I have to hope I hit Pike, and he doesn't have Deny. Okay. You want to like Will of Ionia me? Just like Will of Ionia my Jawfish to protect your Eye of Dragon. Will of Ionia my Jawfish. Just do it. Okay. He doesn't have Zenith Blade or Twin Discipline, but he's at 20 HP. Okay, he doesn't have Deny. Okay, he's 1 damage short without Deny. Uh-huh.
My lands need me. Prepare yourself.
It's not like he has deny the whole game, right? Like, why would he float 4 mana so conspicuously? Darn. That was the most. That was one of the more abysmal alert games I've ever played. And I've played a lot of alert. And this is not a good matchup either way you cut the cake. That's not even a saying, but... What's a better chance here? I think this matchup is horrendous. And this matchup probably like pretty bad as well. But at least this has interactivity, you know? So we'll try the one with more interactivity first. Cause like we can like, you know, try to outplay him with like a concerted strike. These cards never block anything, so they're just chump blockers, which makes them quite useless to my overall game plan. I want to find my high impact cards, I want to find Auction, I want to find Sivir and potentially a concerted strike. Vagabond is at least a horde. Merciless Hunter is also quite good. His turn 2 is Bright Steel Protector, which allows me to swing in here. Oh. Even this challenger is like, you know, I didn't expect him to do anything there.
Must be nice living off stolen coins.
So like worst case scenario, he has White Flame into this. Okay. So we bait him into playing Taric. It's simple. Ooh, that's a good draw. So we play Treasure Seeker, and then he's like, oh, Merciless Hunter isn't a real card, and then he plays Taric.
I've got your back.
It's not really the ideal outcome of that.
Greed will turn any man into a monster.
Each life a rare jewel.
We have a chance with this concerted. We can't play it this turn though unless you snap the concerted. He single combats me. I have Shapestone. Question is what I think is more important to kill. I can actually fight for like a sharp side on the wounded White Flame. Because like say he Zenith Blades, like if I pass he passes back, so that's like a no-no. I can actually just play this and he has like an awkward attack. That's fine actually. I quite like that.
Play the guards, boss.
Good.
Okay, I like this.
Now let me do my thing.
Yeah, I like this a lot actually. So he can still Zenith Blade his Taric. But then I'm threatening like a single combat. It's only a 1-0, so I don't know if he wants to like play around it. Like right now his attack is quite bad, I will say. Nice. That's exactly like the outcome I was looking for. And now I need to have Concerted Strike ready. Ideally it's Concerted Strike plus this, which is 6 mana, which means I can't play Merciless. That's tough. I have no attack either. This is so bizarre. I have no attack. He had no attack. But now he has mana. So his attacks are always going to be better than my attacks. I should probably still Merciless the Taric. He Bright Steals the Taric, whatever. If he rallies on the Taric, most likely whatever. No, if he rallies on the Taric, it's probably not good scenario for us. But I just don't know what I'm supposed to do here. I need to threaten the Taric somehow.
Gonna make a meal
This means he rallies and I concert. Okay. Interesting. Fighting on Tarek's like a little bit hard, but not that bad. Whoa, what? Really? That's fine. I'll take that. Spell shield?
Finders keepers.
That had to be good for me? Unsure, but we're still not in a good position though. Now let's say he opens Zenith Blade on Tarek. We have like a very awkward decision to be made. Really? We choose not to Guiding Touch Tarek. Choose to Pale instead. It still dies to the Bruiser. I could potentially like Shapestone the Bruiser trade here. And then I have the ability to threaten like Concerted Strike. I don't hate that line. Bruiser's dying either way here. He's already used his Faded. I could fight for a Sharp Sight. If he has single, I have Concerted.
Your funeral.
Do I have a Concerted on Tarek? I do, but then he could single. But then he can't rally and have units to back it up with. Why does he have so many cards? What? If he loses Vagabond, we're kind of in not doing much territory. Really? I'm slightly confused. These are garbage. We need to find Akshan at this point. It's another Merciless good. We could like Merciless into Waking Sands. It's not really good use of our mana this turn. Oh my god. Oh. Okay. Let's think about our mana now. So we can play Sivir, we can Concerted. He doesn't really have a play this turn, this is fine. If he wants to rally, you can Concerted back. Now that Sivir has Spell Shield.
You won't believe what we found today.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. So now I need to flip Sivir and then rally on him.
Come out from your shadows, demon.
You can't rally this turn. Challenger. Oh my god.
What a haul.
Yo, Search Me, what's up? I'm probably not rallying here. Am I going for an open attack? Am I pulling his Tarek is also another good question. So he's used one Pale, and that's it. Like, going after Tarek is kind of greedy. Like, going after his Saga Seeker is, like, more ensured kill, whereas it can scale and get out of control. So he can just play for Pantheon as well, and once Pantheon comes down, that's also going to be a problem. I only have 2 Concerted, so I do need to be very cautious with how I use them. How much mana do we have this turn? We have 11, so we can go this, or like the Shapestone if we need it. But likely we can't challenge the Tarek here. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna level Sivir here by going this, and then rally, and then once Sivir rallies, it gets barrier, and then suddenly everything can swing in, and I'm just starting to chip away at his board. Rally. Would he rally here? Oh, Zenith. He's dissuading me from pulling Tarek, which I think is smart, and I think
Business
I
as usual.
can't do. This level Sivir, so I don't have to Concerted. And then I could like double rally potentially. He goes for a rally, I get a Concerted on him. And then after this resolves, I just rally on him, and then I can start challenging things with Barrier. I'm not gonna bother with the Shapestone. This attack is just to level Sivir. Whoa, what?
I
You
go
don't
where the
block
trouble
that?
is. It's never
Why?
far.
Because I'm just gonna rally on you. How do you stop this rally? I still have Concerted. Isn't this an incredibly losing position for you? Guiding touch to do nothing. What? What is his hand? How's his hand so bad?
It's a living.
Sivir should be at the end, but
Are you the one?
there's no like punish. He's just dead to another rally. I want to know what's his side looks like, because this matchup shouldn't be like. This matchup should be favored for him. I really want to see what it looks like from his side.
For beauty.
We got a little lucky, like we rolled the predict skip into the Sivir. That was really important.
Another
But
victory to
I
fill
don't
the
know. He didn't have any buffs at all. Like save the Tarek when he needed to save the wounded White Flame. That was really unfortunate if that was the case. The unfortunate part is we're still losing this matchup. Unless we high roll something abysmal. For him, not for us. So it'd be like triple 1-drop, hit Rek'Sai, hit Pike, and then we can like do things. This hand does do things, can confirm. We already have a predict that we're gonna use. What's the curve? I think the ideal curve is 1-drop into double 1-drop into 2-drop into 1-drop. So the ideal hand is 3 1-drops and a Chronomancer. Seems good to me. Okay, one more 1-drop. It's not quite the 1-drop, but that actually works. So on turn 1 he plays the bird, I think. And so I'd rather play this here. Yo, Namor, what's up, man? We have Kever next, and then it's you. So just sit tight for a second longer. Yes. It's Kever, then it's Enamor. Assuming he wants to play. Oh. Rek'Sai. It's not bad. That lets me put a Pike in my deck. Not good, though.
I don't want to meet whatever woke you up.
I will die when I am ready.
Is this the Waking Sands turn? You go afterward? Yeah. Why Waking Sands here? I think I play Pike next turn. And then I have like a skewer against viewers. I mean, sort of. But like, I'm aware of like most of these people and how good they are, sort of. Not to sound like
Watch your head.
I can't Pike Skewer and Bloodbait. I don't know if I want to trade this for the goat. I will trade this for like a buff lock. Give me your goat. Okay. All I wanted was this goat there.
It's a trap.
Why does that have 6 attack?
Onwards!
I mean, 6 health? What the frick is that? That's kinda huge.
I'll take my share.
Let's just do some really interesting things. This is really cool. Because we can first do this. This activates the Rek'Sai Lurk. And then he's probably going to do some buff blocks, which then we can skewer, and then we can play Bloodbait. And then we can Lurk Pike, and then we can Lurk Rek'Sai with Pike spell. Holy crap, that's insane. This turn could be absolutely insane if he like plays into it. Like, if he like double buffs block here, it's just like kind of over.
Together, stranger.
Okay. This was not the desired outcome. But I think I'm still skewering something here. Why did I think this like could trade? That was like silly of me. I gave away a unit for free. I shouldn't have attacked with this. I should have attacked here. That's on me. But I still get to Pike Bloodbait. What's bigger here? This has Overwhelm. This only has 1 health. If single combat, I can still just lurk a Rek'Sai. This is weird, but I think it's correct. I just misplayed by trading off a unit for free. Oh, but I'm destroying my curve too. There's consequences for this turn, but getting the Pike spell is pretty okay. Like, there's some major consequences for this turn of how I play it. But to get Pike spell and then to lurk Rek'Sai again, I think it's quite worth. Hard to say. So on turn 7, we can play this and the Pike spell and then still hit Rek'Sai lurk. It completely destroys this turn, but it sets up our next 2 turns quite well, which is definitely interesting. How's lurk situated in the meta right now?
I am ready.
It's in a very weird position, that's for sure. Like, it does well into, like, it beats scouts, which is, I think, its most important factor in a lineup. And then...
You're covered.
Jesus Christ. Ooh, frick. But he's gonna give up his attack so I don't lurk Pike, but then I can still call the pack Pike. This is so interesting. Is he gonna attack? I would love it if you just attack me here. Pantheon's not flipped. Nice. And now I can play Snapdraw Storm. I don't know if I agree with this. Like, this is so good for me. Oh my god. It's kind of hard to, like... These 2 turns are really sick. I still misplayed on these 2 turns, but this setup is actually really insanely cool. At least to me. Pike is at 7. If he's keeping track, he should know I have Pike and then Rek'Sai on top of my deck. We'll see if he's aware. That's really annoying. Because now he could just play Pantheon, which I suspect he has. And that's not gonna be good for me. It's kind of tough. Like, maybe you're supposed to attack and then pike this, knowing that he could protect this. But I don't know if that's, like, good enough for us. Like, it will play around like a Pantheon that comes down, but it's tough.
So many names. I'm just getting started.
Because he has Pantheon here, I lose, most likely. Which it's pretty high chance he has this one card that hasn't played all game. It could also just be Concerted Strike, but then he has these 3 cards here. If he's thinking this long, he just doesn't have it. He could also have like Concerted Strike single. That'd be pretty... He doesn't have it? What? What? Concerted Strike onto the Pike. Okay. Why would you not block there? That's also interesting. Can he kill me? How does he kill me? Yeah, it's sunk cost though, you'd need Pantheon. Not if it rolls Spell Shield. So he has Pantheon, but chose not to play it last turn? No? Oh, I do need to block this. Him develop... Well, he knows I have Rek'Sai. He doesn't know what this card is. It could be a Jawfish, which is what I think he should be thinking of on turn 8. If he gives me development, I get to call the pack Rek'Sai and play a unit, and I get to play Rek'Sai next turn. He clearly doesn't have Pantheon, otherwise he would have played it last turn. Which leaves me the question of what are these 3 cards? And to that question, I don't know. Taric Rally. I mean, that's fine, because Taric dies. To a 1-drop. My 1-drop is almost bigger than his 1-drop now. So is there any world where we lose? I fail to see one here. Because, like, if he wants to rally, he loses Taric, so he can't do that. So it's only Pale, and he loses board here. And then he can't rally, and I'm not dying. And then I play this into Rek'Sai, and I win?
Never submit.
So, am I losing to... But I have to block like this. I can block like this. Whoa. No, I should block like this, though. But if he has Sharp Side, and Sharp Side doesn't matter either way. I don't know if I agree with his plays. I don't even need a play. There's no punish. I don't know a punish here. Seemed a little sus. This was bizarre to me. I think what he could have done was... Okay, so sharp side. I think what he possibly could have done was if he had Rally, just open Rally on Tarek and you would still get 2 swings, but everything has barrier. So that means he didn't have Rally either, which then I'm really confused about what his hand is. What's the punish for me playing Rek'Sai? He has Concerted and Single. If he has Concerted and Single, this trades anyways. But if he has Concerted and... Like, what does he have here? I don't know. Pantheon no longer... Okay, so Pantheon can still do things because it gets lifesteal. But then I just have 2 overwhelm units and I generate a hand. So Pantheon doesn't do anything here. Our player on 2 strikes. Well, if I attack first, we trade and I still have a Rek'Sai, but then he plays board and I lose. So I have to win this turn. And I think this is slightly better. He finally drew Pantheon? He's still digging? What the hell? What is his hand? What? What? How did we win this set, guys? This set should not have been a win. This was bizarre as heck. I don't know how he won this one. Check out that mastery. I don't know how he won that one, to be honest. I want to know what his hand was. Because if he had Rally, he had a better play. So it can't be Rally. He didn't have Pantheon. I don't know. Tell me what your hand was. Alright, he had the Pale. He had the, it was like Pale, it was the Gem. There's still one more card. Like, I don't know. I feel like any hand he had should have beat us there. But